Good morning, good day, and good evening. I'm, as always, your host, Brody Robertson, and today we are doing something I have not done in a good while now. I don't know the last time we did a solo episode, but that is what we are back for. I honestly felt like the podcast was kind of getting stale as it was being done. I felt like the episodes were fun when I was recording them. I enjoyed speaking to the people. Everyone I've had on, for the most part, has been an interesting guest. But, I don't know, it seems like in post, when I'm, looking at cutting clips out, when I see, some of the feedback, I don't know, it seems like it is getting, sort of repeating over and over again, where it's like, oh, we have a developer on, especially the developer ones, right? I really enjoy speaking to indie game developers, and I want to do more of them, but it felt like a lot of them ended up just being the sort of same motions over and over and over again, where, hey, what's your game? Tell me about your game. Oh, let's talk a bit about genres and game engines and all this stuff, and I enjoyed it, but I don't know. I want to try something else out, so we're going to do this for a bit. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. We go and do something else, and that's pretty much how it goes. Speaking of things I would like to not have to talk about a lot, it's getting really, really hard to not talk about AI, right? I don't hate AI. I've never really... Okay, maybe early on I probably could have been considered an AI hater, right? But it feels like over the past... You know how we talk about, we're in a bubble? I feel like the bubble is deflating without there being a burst, if that makes sense, right? We're seeing less of the AI is in everything. AI... I've got a fucking rice cooker that says AI rice cooker on it. I don't know if that was because of the AI boom or just AI's been, a buzz term for a while, but my fucking rice cooker says AI. I think if I search AI rice cooker, I should be able to find it. It is, yes, the one that Dank Pods did a video on. That's good enough. We'll use this thumbnail. We don't need to see, it's a rice cooker. It's a generic black box. Yes. AI smart cooking technology. Automatically adjust cooking time and temperature to ensure best taste and texture. Also known as a thermometer, which is not a AI new tech whatsoever. But not just that, right? For a while, it seemed like companies were trying to inject AI into places where it frankly made absolutely no sense. In many ways, it was feeling like the crypto boom. It was feeling like the NFT boom, where a lot of the NFT arguments just, they didn't make any sense, right? It's like, oh, well, if you have NFTs, then you can take your game assets, your game purchases to any other game. And it's like, okay, why would any game developer integrate that? What reason would there be for, competing companies to have you transferring your items between different companies' games? Maybe within an ecosystem, but if it's in an ecosystem, why do you need crypto for that when you could just already, you could already just have some, account-based system where all of the games from one company are handled under a single account? That... The idea just never made any sense on the face of it. It seemed like this idea where it's like, oh, well, you could buy something, but the value proposition never just made any sense from why a business would adopt it. The only one I could see, slightly making sense was the whole stuff about, oh, you could have NFT tickets where the ticket is validated and there's, no copies of this ticket, and you could easily sell the ticket. But once again, why would a company want to have a ticket sale market when they could already just have your ticket attached to your ID, and then if you want to sell it, you have to go through their internal market, right? These are things which already can exist without NFTs. And AI really felt like, in a lot of ways, a lot of the things we were seeing were kind of going that route, right? I saw and I kind of get why they did it, but I saw a clothes website where they replaced their search function with AI. And this was at a time where the tooling was just not very good. The site was awful. Thankfully, I could just jump directly to pages through their they're like a category system, like a lot of sites have, where it's like, oh, you want pants, you want shorts, you want different various materials, so I could avoid the problem. But now it seems like what is happening is a lot of that stuff has been pulled back, as I think some of that like really overzealous funding has been like maybe not drying up, but moving into other things. So now you're seeing a lot more, hey, how does it integrate into our developer workflow? And I'm seeing a lot less of the, what if we just replace our entire developer workflow with AI? What if we like augment what the developers are doing? There's a lot more of that. You're seeing some of the, I guess what people have been calling token maxing recently, where there's been a change with how notably GitHub has been pricing their AI, where now it is not based off of like just a strict monthly usage or a strict monthly sale. Now it is based off of token usage. So you're having a lot of people who were kind of spending like a few dollars a month, now burning through that within like a couple of hours to a couple of days. And now it's like, oh, if you want to go even further, you got to pay for the top tier. Even then, a lot of people that have been like heavily using this tooling have been just melting through the top tier. So much so that like there is this sort of like meme going around of like agentic loops, right? A lot of the AI companies are, I think they're kind of worried about where things go, because they have lived off of this like heavily subsidized model for pretty much the entire existence of their companies now, where like isn't it something like OpenAI, what's the word? I'm fucking blanking on words. Profitability, that's the one. Profitability. There was a chart I saw the other day where it's like the cost that they've sunk into the company is like 10x the like maybe in like 100x the revenue they've brought in. I can't find the graph right now, but like you've all seen this before, where like a lot of these AI companies just are not making money. And there comes a point where the birds come home to roost. The chickens come home to roost, where eventually that investor money, that investor fervor, eventually has to dry up, and somebody asks the question, when am I going to get a return on my money? And I think that's partially what we are seeing now with the rising in token costing, where I think some of the companies are finally starting to realize that this doesn't go on forever, right? It might feel like it's going on forever, but eventually the money dries out. What am I even saying? The money dries out, and somebody has to go and pay things back. Now, there's been a lot of money burned, and there's still a lot of money to burn, but I think at the very least, we are starting to see a downturn. And that's kind of why you're seeing this like agentic loop meme. The idea is, oh, rather than just like prompting your AI, just have your AI prompt your AI, which prompt your AI, which prompt your AI. And like, I get it. Like, if you're an AI company and you want people to be like fully ingrained in your ecosystem, you don't want them to have any ability to escape, I get why you'd be pushing that. But at the end of the day, what it is doing is just burning through money. There's an article I saw, I think it came like a day or two ago. The end of token maxing could derail the AI rally, says Wells Fargo Osun Kwon. I assume this is some investor dude. Oh, that's not even an article. It's a link to a video. Okay, whatever. I didn't check the article properly. It was just an example of what I was talking about. But you're seeing this like push for, like, don't develop anything, generate as much as possible, in kind of like this death throw, this like death rattle of what this tech is. And I don't think AI is going away, right? Like, there are these people that think like, oh, the bubble bursts, AI goes away. No. That's not happening whatsoever. I think we're at a point now where this tech is so ingrained into especially young developers that this is going to be something that sticks around long term. I think what doesn't stick around long term, though, is really expensive cloud models. And we saw this recently with the RTX, is it RTX Spark? The new NVIDIA thing. Yes, RTX Spark. I couldn't remember if they'd used like a new branding for it. The RTX Spark, which is NVIDIA's like big AI chip, 128 gigabytes of unified memory. And the idea here is to like move away from these mega cloud models and actually be able to run these locally. And NVIDIA is an interesting company, right? Because they're selling on like both ends of the spectrum. They are selling giant database cards to all of these massive companies at the same time. If they can sell like local AI stuff to not average developers, not like average consumers, right? Like you're not going to buy this as like some random guy that has a mid-tier GPU. But if you're a Microsoft, if you're a, I don't know, like pick a Meta, like a big developer firm, I could see a lot of these companies, maybe Microsoft's a bad example because they have Copilot, but I could see a lot of these like big companies, especially when it comes to like data sensitivity, like medical context, wanting to run large-scale local models so they don't get into like weird litigation stuff and all of these problems which I think like are on the radar and have been happening over the past couple of years. Now, I don't remember what they were... Did they announce a price? I don't actually think they did. But it was like a stripped-down server card. Wait. RTX Spark pricing ranges from $1,800 to $2,900 USD for base laptops, $4,000 to $8,000 for AI work. What? Wait, no shot it's that cheap. What? Wait, okay, maybe NVIDIA's like, okay, we're gonna take a loss on this one to get adoption, because I don't fucking know how it is that cheap to buy these things. Jesus fucking Christ. If you think the GPU shortage is gonna end anytime soon, fuck no, it's not. I think it's only gonna get worse. Well, a RAM shortage is gonna lead to GPU shortage, all this fun stuff we're seeing. But as I was saying, I think there's a lot of these young developers who they are learning to write code with access to AI from the day they start. And it's in a similar way to when I learned to code and when most of you learned to code, you had access to the internet, right? You didn't have to go and buy a programming book. You didn't have to go to a library to find something. You didn't have to take a programming class. If you wanted to learn Go, you wanted to learn Rust or C++ or any other language, for most of us, we could just go to like online documentation, get any code documentation we could possibly want. There are tutorials out there. We could read like the official docs. There are actually like copies of the books that we could have bought anyway online through less than legal means. Or there's video tutorials. If you prefer the idea of a guided class-like structure, there are these really good online classes that you can follow that you don't have to pay for, and like you get as good of an experience as what you'd get in a more like structured education setting. In fact, in some cases, like when I went through uni, we were watching Lynda courses for a couple of my classes. I think my Java class, maybe my C++ class. I don't remember exactly which ones. Definitely the Java, maybe Java 2. Either way, we were just watching lynda.com courses, which is now, I believe Lynda is LinkedIn Learning? Lynda.com LinkedIn Learning. I think it got acquired or rebranded. Yeah, 2017 they became LinkedIn Learning. Okay. But yeah, like you can get amazing resources online. And whilst a lot of people like meme on AI for telling you wrong things, a lot of people are using it, right? A lot of young developers aren't just shying away from these tools. They are using them as a way to hopefully augment their learning, right? The ones who are just vibing their way through everything, not learning to code, that's not going to help you. But if you're using it as a, hey, I want to, or like generate me like a programming problem. I'm not sure about how to do X thing in Python. Like how do I handle F strings in Python? How do I make an object in Python? Don't do objects in Python, but how do I make an object in Python? Like what is operator overloading? How does that work in C++? You can get answers to these questions. And I think a lot of people are really bad at using search engines. I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast, but I think that is a big part of the reason why these AI tools like popped off so much, right? Like a lot of us know how to do keyword searching, how to like, do quoted things to find what we want. But I've seen the way that my roommate uses AI. I've seen the way he uses a search engine. He will ask full-length questions like and not just like basic things like what is X person's birth date? What is the weather in this place? Give me good local Chinese restaurants, things like that. But like full-length questions about like complicated topics. Like he plays Factorio, and it's like this idea of being able to ask a question and then being able to ask not just that question, but then directly ask a follow-up in case you didn't understand something, or if let's say you were being guided through something, effectively having like a guided tour through something. I can see, even with mistakes, why for a lot of people this is really engaging, this is really useful, because they don't use a search engine like you would use a search engine anyway. So these tools came along, and for people that operate in that sort of mindset in the first place, it set them up to a position where it just made more sense to interact with than what you were getting by just interacting with Google, by interacting with DuckDuckGo or any of these other search engines. So it makes sense in my head how this has happened, even if I'm not entirely happy about what went on here. So overall, like, I don't think AI tools are going away, right? I struggle to believe that is remotely going to happen. There's just way too much investment, not like investment as in money, but mental investment. There are like really experienced, like 20, 30-year experienced developers who they've started using this tooling, and they cannot go back to not having this tooling be available. In their mind, this is how I work with these tools now. You could do it, but it's kind of like the way I've spoke. Like, some people speak about Rust in a similar way, where they go from C to Rust, and they feel like a lot of what they had to do to make C safe, Rust does for them, and trying to go back to C feels like you are sort of trying to tread through, what's a good example? What's something thick? You're trying to swim through custard. Terrible example, but it's like you're putting these weights back on, and everything suddenly feels harder. And for people who've started using these tools, these like AI tools, I've heard very similar sorts of things where they are like they were experienced developers long before AI, but now they've started using it. Going back from that becomes this challenge. I do think that one thing the cost of AI is causing, though, is there is a lot of people who were never interested in engineering. They were never interested in programming. They were interested in the results, right? And this like token price increase, this token maxing, this spend as much money as possible, outside of the people that just have infinite disposable wealth, which there are people out there like that, there's a lot of other people who they were never really interested in the process, the art, the enjoyment of building something from scratch. And now that a lot of them are being basically forced to build something from scratch because they don't have the money to spend on the tokens that they were effectively getting for free before, now a lot of them are sort of like re-questioning, is this even something I want to do now? And you see this, like, this is not just like a unique to AI thing, but you see this every so often where it's like, for example, actually, great example. When I was going through uni, my first year had a lot of people. And a lot of the people that were there, they were there because their parents said, you have to go do something with your life. You cannot sit at home and play video games all day. You like video games, go learn to make video games. And a lot of these people realize incredibly quickly that the interest in playing games and the interest in making games are two very, very distinct interests, let alone the skill set and the knowledge required. You can learn the skills, you can learn the knowledge, but if you fundamentally don't have an interest in, like, breaking down problems into their rudimentary components, having at least a basic mathematics background, yes, different areas of programming require different mathematics. If you're doing, like, shader programming and you're doing matrix manipulations, yeah, that's more complicated than knowing basic Boolean mathematics, but you still need to have, like, some sort of basic mathematical background. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people simply don't, and they joined these and then just very quickly burnt out. And I think there's a good and a bad thing about the university structure. With university being long, it does weed a lot of people out who had zero interest in the field, right? And this is something that a lot of boot camps did not let happen. There are a lot. They've kind of like slowed down now. Are people even still doing coding boot camps? I don't even know. Coding boot camp. This was like a common thing pre-COVID. The top post I see here is from 4 years ago. Oh, I see one post here from a year ago, one from 12 months ago. Don't attend coding boot camps. Right. I think the winds have shifted on that one, especially with AI and stuff like that. But with those coding boot camps being so short, you can very quickly start learning to code and doing things before you know if you like something. And AI is a very similar thing, where you can start, like, you can generate an entire, not a good one, but an entire video game, an entire website, an entire application, and do that before you even know whether you like the idea of programming in the first place. And when then you have to go and deal with the hard problems, the tokens start drying up, you actually have to be an engineer, then you start realizing, oh shit, now I'm in the big leagues. Oh shit, I don't want to be here. And I think a lot of people are realizing that with AI and having that long-term investment. At the very least, even though university, I do feel like a lot of the classes are badly structured. The, like, 1 lesson a week thing, 2 lesson a week thing is not a great way to handle things. Handling, like, 6 subjects at once and then, like, badly handling, very, in some cases, very poorly teaching them. There's a lot of problems there, let alone, like, costing and stuff like that. But at the very least, if you're doing a real serious degree, usually you'll get weeded out at least by first year exams, right? Especially if you were like my university, where if you failed the exam, it did not matter what the rest of your grades were. Exam failure is course failure, and you have to resit that course regardless of the rest of your grades. So you could be on, like, perfect high distinction. You could have, like, 99 or 100% scores on everything, and if you failed that exam, well, and that's especially important now because, well, you can very easily get high grades on an exam if you manage to use AI and then not get caught by it. So having that, like, auto failure system with a in-person, on-paper exam, it cooks some people. Especially, I had some first-year exams which honestly, I feel like my first year exams were my worst exams. Not because the subjects were hard, just because the exams were very time constrained and yeah, they were just very time constrained and had a lot of questions on them. So you needed a lot of general knowledge of that course. I could sit here and talk about AI the entire time. There's just so much to say about it. I don't want to. I can, but I really don't want to. So I think we're going to shift gears a bit, and we're going to talk about the Steam Deck and the Steam Machine. So recently, I guess this is the Australian price, recently, 2 weeks ago now, Valve increased the price of the Steam Deck OLED, going from $8.99 Australian to $11.99, and the 1 terabyte from $10.49 to $14.29. What is the American pricing on that? Steam Deck OLED American price increase. So that was from, here we go, from the Steam announcement. Here we go. Perfect. So, wait, that's not showing the original price. Okay, thank you, Valve. Appreciate it. Reddit. Does Reddit have the answer? Reddit, can someone... Oh my gosh, show me both. What are the fucking both prices? What? BBC. Do you have the price? Okay, wait. 200... Show me the original fucking price. Show me. Okay, wait. We were talking about AI before? Okay. Thank you, AI overview bullshit. I don't want to search these articles. 700 and... Wait. Previously 549, now 789 for the 512, and 649, now 949 for the 1 terabyte. Now, the reason I talk about this is there was another announcement a little bit more recently, a couple of days ago, about a week ago now. We now know, at least at this stage, that the Steam Machine is shipping, or Steam Machine and Frame are shipping in summer. So that would be soon. It's when the fuck, what, USA summer months. I don't fucking, like, now. So now to August, basically. I did think it was getting a bit colder here. Yeah, it makes sense. There's wind. It makes sense that it's winter here. So we still don't know what the price of the Steam Machine is going to be. But considering the Steam Deck, which is slower, older hardware, although it does have a screen, is $789 for the 512 model and $949 for the 1 terabyte model. What does that mean for Steam Machine pricing? Let's see if people have speculated. I did see a post the other day where someone was speculating that it was going to be like $700 for the Steam Machine. I cannot imagine it's going to be anywhere near that at this point. I don't know what price it has to be at to sell well, but a lot of people, like this post was saying, were expecting $700 to $800, and that would have been a good price. People would have bought that. Apparently, there was a leak of $1,300. I've not heard anyone reporting that leak, so mileage may vary on that one. Who knows? But I think there is a possibility at the very least. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think Valve is going to try their very hardest for the base model to be around $1,000. If possible, I think they're going to try to get the base model under $1,000 and maybe even take a hit on the base model. I know they've said they don't want to do so, but I think there's a possibility they do it just on, like, you know how we used to have the lower tier Steam Deck? I think there's a possibility they'll do the same thing here and then eventually discontinue it. And then I think mainline Steam Machine, I don't want to say it, but I think something like, I do think this 1300 or 1500 is likely. If it's anywhere above that, it's dead. It's entirely dead. Like, if you're spending more than 1500 on this, it doesn't make any sense. Steam Machine also might be part of the reason why Steam Controller hasn't been back in stock. They might be holding stock to make sure Steam Machine people can get them, which would make sense as well. Who knows? What I do know is I am so worried that this is going to be a repeat of the old Steam Machine. I think things will be different solely based on the fact that the old Steam Machine failed because Valve was a little bit too cocky in who was going to buy it and thought, oh yeah, we can just put it out there and we'll communicate with developers, we'll make this happen. But they relied on native games being a thing with the original Steam Machine, and that just simply was not going to happen. It like, how many units did they even sell of the original Steam Machine? I feel as though it was very small. I don't think they even sold 1 million. How many units did the original Steam Machine sell? Original under 500k. Some are saying around 300. Yeah. So not many. Like, not like in an insignificant amount. But let's put it in the context of best-selling consoles. There's a Wikipedia page for this one. So let's go. Yeah, number 58 on the list. It was less than the Next Playground, which is, what the fuck is the Next Playground? Some bullshit from 2023. The Pegasus, which is a Famicom clone. The Philips CDI, the Atari 5200, the Mega Drive. All of these sold at least 1 million units. So, like, way, way under that. I hope the Steam Machine, the new Steam Machine does better. I'm apprehensively excited. I think at the very least what the Steam Machine has done is shown both Deck and Machine, shown people that gaming on Linux is a real thing. So even if they are not going to buy a Steam Machine, they might game on Linux. I think at the end of the day, it's still a win for me, although I would want Valve to win here as well, because if they win, that means that they've been invested into Linux for a long time, but if they win, they could justify being even more invested into Linux and, like, really, really push this. But I don't know. I think it's going to sell more than the original Steam Machine, assuming they can have it in stock. I think that's probably their biggest worry right now. Not are people interested in buying it, but can people buy it? Can you actually get your hands on it? Like, because that's been a problem this entire time. As for the frame, I know so little about the VR space that it is really hard for me to make any sort of, like, reasonable assessment on, like, what actually is going to happen there, right? I don't even, like, what headsets are people using now? Is it like I just knocked something off my desk. I don't know what I knocked off. I heard something bounce, though. I'll find it afterwards. Like, what headset are people using? I assume it's like an Oculus? What is the mainstream VR headset? I assume it's like an Oculus or Vive or something. MetaQuest? Oh, right, yeah, it's Meta now at this point, isn't it? Yeah. MetaQuest 3 is the gold standard of standalone headsets. Obviously, you have the PlayStation VR 2, Vive Pro 2, which is 1600. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. I honestly had no idea. And that's another thing, right? Like, where's the frame going to be priced at? Like, what does it need firstly, what does it need to be priced at to sell well? Secondly, what is it going to be priced at in reality? Thirdly, is Valve going to release anything like they did with the Valve Index as a like marketing piece for the game, right? Like they had a Half-Life Alyx for that one. So a lot of people are like, ooh, could it be another Half-Life Alyx type thing? Could it be Half-Life 3? Ooh, Half-Life. A lot of people are like, you know what? I think that's going to be the biggest disappointment of the Steam machine when it actually has a price announced, when people can actually buy it, and they don't announce Half-Life 3. Because so many people are convinced that this is the time. We got Half-Life Alyx before. This is the time for Half-Life 3. It would be stupid, but they could just say fuck you and be like, yeah, we're officially releasing fucking Deadlock now. Because that's still in like early access or whatever it is, isn't it? Can you get the game yet? Yeah, no, it's still in the playtest. Deadlock is such a weird one. It's not what I want to talk about here, but like Deadlock is such a weird fucking game. Like, how many players does that game have? Yeah, it has fucking 30. Okay, it peaked at. There was like an update. Okay, it was a big update. It peaked at 112 max. Oh, launch. Peaked at 170. This was shortly after launch. Then it fell off for a while. There was an update, popped off a bit. Update, popped off a bit. Now we're at like 60k here. 30k right at this very, very moment. For a game that's not real. For a game that's not... Obviously, for a game that's not released, right? That's fucking crazy. Especially when you compare it to games that are released that people... don't care about, like Marathon. You have a game that it exists and people can play versus a game that doesn't exist and people can play that has fucking 5x the player count. You can only play this game if you're invited. Now, getting an invite is very easy. You just... Literally anyone on fucking Steam can get you an invite, apparently. I've been, like, when this game came out, I got sent, like, 7 invites. I don't care about it, but, like, I got sent a bunch of fucking invites, and you can just get an invite if you go ask on, like, Reddit or basically anywhere. It's such a... It is such a weird model. It's a very Valve model to handle things. I don't think they're gonna release it with the Steam machine. I think that would be a massive disappointment. I think they're not stupid. Maybe they do like a Deadlock update alongside the Steam machine. That I could see them doing. But whatever they do release, I really doubt it's going to be Half-Life 3. On that note, I need to play Half-Life 2 at some point. I actually have never played Half-Life. I've only played Black Mesa. So I need to play original Half-Life, and I need to play Half-Life 2 at some point. You know, just on the off chance that maybe, just maybe it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but could. It certainly could. Since we're on the topic of Valve anyway, there was another thing I did want to talk about. Valve recently made a change to how they're handling gift cards, as in they're not handling gift cards. Valve is going to be cutting out physical gift cards. I understand why they've done this, even though I'm not happy about it. There's people here who are like, how do they scam with gift cards? Basically what's happened here is Steam gift cards are a common gift card for people to be told to go buy in a scam. Like, it's, hey, go buy $300 of Steam gift cards, and then it will, like, you know, they'll basically what they do with the gift cards is they sell them. They sell them on these, like, there's these secondhand markets. Let's do cheap Steam gift cards. There's these, like, sketchy kind of websites. Okay, why are some of these more expensive? Okay, this website's less sketchy. Maybe, who knows? I don't know why anyone would spend more on the gift card than the face value, but I guess you can do that. Okay, G2A is apparently down. But there are these sites that will sell them, like, under value. And if you're selling a gift card under value, like, that's a stolen gift. That's 99% of the time a stolen gift card. Valve wants to cut back on this. I get it. It sucks. Because I remember my first game I bought on Steam, I don't know what the game was, but I did buy it with a gift card. And there were a lot of these other games as a kid that I did with a gift card, right? Like RuneScape originally, my membership, let's see if we can find a picture of them. RuneScape membership gift card. Are they even like are they even a thing anymore? Do they have them? They still have them? Wait, what? I assumed that they had completely gotten rid of them. Let's see if I can find... Yeah, this is probably around the time I would have been buying them. $8. There's probably a US version. Yeah, look at this. Membership card. Let the adventure begin. Probably around the same time you would have had, like, WoW gift cards in stores as well. Nowadays you just have fucking V-Bucks and, Robux. V-Bucks and Robux cards in stores for games. Maybe you have, like, a BattleNet card, possibly. Obviously, of course, you have a lot of the Steam ones as well. But there's not really any way you can circumvent this problem, right? Unless you would... There is a way you could do it, but it would make a lot more work for the stores. The way you do it is when you buy a gift card, you have to give them your Steam account, and then that gift card could only be activated on that account. Like, that's a very easy way to solve the problem. But it's also then, hey, you have to then trust that the fucking staff at the checkout are going to be entering it correctly, and they're probably not because people's gamer tags are fucking weird. Also, you gotta tell people at the checkout your gamer tag, and for some of those, your gamer tag's fucking weird. And you probably don't want to be doing so, but, you know, it is what it is. It's a sad era, sad time, but I get it. I get why Valve had to do it. Let's talk about something a bit more happy. Something that is still very expensive, but something that is fucking cool, and I kind of wish more people were talking about it. Oh, don't mute that. I'm going to show you a little video. If you're just watching the video or audio version, I'll explain in just a moment. So, what you're seeing is a poster. Actually, I just realized the text is on the screen. You fucking... show original. No, you don't see it anymore. Nope, it's not there. Nope. So, you probably got from the text what you just saw, or if you're just listening, you don't know. What I am showing on the screen right now are e-ink poster displays, like hang-up displays, and they look fucking crazy. These are, like, they are flapping in the wind, pretty much like, not like printing paper, but like card paper, the kind of paper or like kind of plastic signage that you would see hanging up in a store. And it looks near perfect. It's hard to tell exactly because I'm not seeing it in person, but when it is static, you cannot tell that this is not a display. This tech is fucking crazy. On the note of fucking crazy e-ink, let me show you something. E-ink, yeah, 6, there it is. Is this the one from Desung? I don't think this is the one. This is the one I was looking at, but there are other versions of this. No, okay, no, this is a black and white version. Sorry. Color. Is this the one from Yonko Design? No, where is it? I had it. I should have grabbed the link. basically what there is a 60 hertz color e-ink. 60 hertz color e-ink. You can legitimately use this as a computer monitor. It's got to be in my history, surely. Display. E-ink. Where is it? Fuck! Not gonna be able to find it now. Ah. No, okay. Either way, like e-ink is fucking crazy. Is this the one? Wait, okay, this is not... Okay, this is not the product page, but this is someone showing it off. Obviously, colors are washed out compared to, like, an IPS panel, compared to, like, any, like, even just, like, a TN panel. But this very well may... From Books? Maybe I can find... This very well may be, like, the future of work displays. Books Mirror Pro, is that it? Yes! Yes! Okay. Shit, found it. Lovely. Okay. Books Mirror Pro. This is a color e-ink. I believe you can run it at... Yeah, native resolution is that, but you can run it at like a lower resolution. I think like 1440p, you can get 60 hertz. Otherwise, it runs at 30 hertz. As a work display, as a display that you look at all day, this, I think, is going to change the fucking game. Not this display in particular, but like this technology, being able to have paper in front of you, and then not have the e-ink problem of it takes fucking 10 years to load the next frame, which made them fine for reading, right? Like you turn a page, it loads, that's fine. But for like actual productivity, 60 hertz is like you can get away with 30 hertz, but 60 hertz is much preferred. Like you could game on this. I wonder if anyone's done that. Okay, I don't know why LTT has never covered this thing. It's a fucking cool, really cool bit of tech. I'm excited. I am really excited. I would love to be able to, like... the problem is they're very expensive right now. I would love to be able to have something like this as, like, a... If I wanted to go to, like, a work machine, it would be totally fine for working... Maybe it's a bad thing, but like working into the night, having something like this and not worrying about eye strain anywhere near as much would be fucking crazy. And I don't know why we are not putting even more into this tech. Like getting this to a point where you don't need to have some like, especially if you're not doing like color sensitive work, right? If you are a developer on a, I don't know, back-end stuff. If you're a fucking developer on back-end stuff, right? And all you need to know is, does the server work? It doesn't matter what the colors look like. Like as long as it's fine, it's fine. Yeah, if you're doing like color sensitive work, you're doing game development, especially indie stuff where you're doing like 7 different tasks, sure. But if you're doing music production, you don't need to care about like colors of things as long as you can distinguish the visual elements on the screen. If you're a web developer and you're just following a design doc, you just follow the design doc, what the design doc tells you. If you're doing data entry, right, and all you're doing all day is filling out Excel spreadsheets and writing fucking Excel macros, if you're a fucking writer, having a e-ink display as your main display, not having to stare at this like really bright, like glowing panel, especially if you like working late at night. I don't know where this tech goes. E-ink is one of those things which is really just like going under the radar. No one's like, people still think of e-ink as this, like, thing for reading tablets and stuff like that. But, like, I think there is a real future for this tech being, like, super cool. Let alone, like, low power stuff, right? Like, example here, you've got this, like, weather display sort of thing. Like that, yeah, you can very well do stuff like that as well. There's no reason to have a glowing panel for something like this unless you, for some reason, need to be able to see it at night. But I think there's, like, so many areas where this is going to change everything that I hope this tech keeps getting invested into. And I hope we get to a point where you could reasonably buy a e-ink display. It's not $3,000. The other problem with the Mirror Pro is it's like 23.5 inches, which is a little small. Like, it's workable, but I would prefer at least 27 inches. But who knows? Who knows? I didn't think we'd have tech like this at all in the first place. So the fact that we have anything, I think is super cool. But hey, if you don't and you like your glowing bullshit displays, hey, enjoy your glowing bullshit displays. To be fair, I have a glowing bullshit display as well. You might have noticed in some of my recent videos that my UI elements were a little bit smaller. That's because I upgraded my monitor. By upgrading my monitor, I mean I replaced my old monitor because it died. So what happened? Well, I'm not entirely sure what happened, but the result of what I saw is I noticed for maybe 2 or so weeks, maybe even longer, I would turn my system on and I wouldn't see any video output until I got to the TTY, right? It would go through Grub, it would go through, booting into the system through System D, and then, 10 seconds after that, I would then have output on my screen. But the thing is, I saw output on my secondary displays for the TTY basically as soon as it got there, so it was something weird. But, my monitor had always taken a long time to power cycle anyways. Yeah, it was weird, but it was nothing, crazy out of the ordinary. The point where it became a real problem is when I got to the TTY and it never gave me display output, but it didn't say that a display, nothing was connected. So it wasn't it couldn't detect my display port, or if I swapped to HDMI, it couldn't detect my my HDMI. I swapped ports on the GPU as well, and that was fine. So it wouldn't go and display anything. So it was the panel was showing color. It wasn't in sleep mode, but it was just all black. It wouldn't show anything until I did a full reboot of the monitor. And that was fine for, I would say, about another week and a half or so. Then another problem started. Then I turned it on, and I watched it kind of imagine you light the screen on fire, and you just watch it melt internally. You would see a line just turn to brown, then turn to black, and fade all out. And that happened on the TTY, which maybe it was happening longer and I just didn't notice, because sometimes I'd boot my system up and then I don't know, go take a piss or get some breakfast or something, and then come back. So maybe it was doing it for longer and I didn't know. When I really noticed it, and that's not right, is when, okay, so for a while that happened, and then I would power cycle, and then it just worked. Then I power cycled, and every time I power cycled, it would do the exact same thing. I opened up KDE and watched all of the color in my wallpaper burn out, and it eventually all just fade to black. Then I started messing with some monitor settings, and then it worked a little bit again. So I guess something internally by changing a setting from 1080p to 720, or change the refresh rate caused it to refresh something, and it would work again. Then eventually it just stopped entirely. I would turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on. It would just keep repeating the same thing. I was like, okay, this is done. This is cooked. I cannot use this display anymore. So then I ended up going and buying a new display. I had wanted to buy a new monitor at some point anyway. I just wanted to wait until not Black Friday, end of financial year sales, which is like end of tax season in Australia. I don't know if America has like tax season sales, but we have tax season sales here. So it's like, you know, just before tax season, you want to buy a big thing and then tax write-off sort of deal. I don't know if this thing in the US, we do have that. We have Black Friday here as well now, but that was our like main sales. I couldn't do that. So I had to go buy a monitor. I ended up going like after stream, and what did I end up doing is going to JB Hi-Fi. JB Hi-Fi is like our main sort of tech and tech adjacent retailer in Australia. They have like monitors, they have TVs, they have cameras, they have electric scooters, they have DVDs and Blu-rays, and they have some fucking records now as well, because people like records. First JB Hi-Fi I went through the section, and well, their monitor options were not very great. They had like one monitor that I would even consider buying. The rest were like really consumer corpo stuff. Like, you know, you need a monitor for an office, not I'm replacing my 165 hertz gaming monitor. So it was like 60 hertz, 1080p, 24 inches, maybe 27 inches. I was like, eh. So I went to another one. They had a couple of choices. Now, originally, I wanted to buy another 1080p display. I've been on 1080p since 1080p, basically. I never really had an interest in either 1440 or 4K. But, considering my options, and considering that there were not really that many reasonable options I could get in a reasonable time anyway, I had to settle with what I could get. So what I ended up settling on was I don't know if I'll be able to find the exact one. LG Ultra Gear 1440p 180 hertz. Is this the one? I think it's this one. Wait. Burning house. Is this one? Are you gonna dox me? Nah, we're good. I think this is the one. If not the one, a very similar... Oh, no, this is not the one, because this is 200 hertz. Okay, not the one, but very similar one. It looks better. I was running a VA panel before. I was running a VA panel because I had a curved monitor, and if you want to do curved monitor, you have to do VA. It was very unpleasant going back to a flat display. I have not been using a flat display for a long, long time. I have a flat display as like my vertical, but as my main monitor, going back to flat was unpleasant. Now that I'm back on it, like I've gotten used to it, I still see... So here's the thing, right? I got so used to the curve that going back to a flat display is now curved. And it actually is, like, it's not curved, but it looks curved because of the distance you sit away from it, the distance your eyes, and it looks like it's curved, like, outwards, so the curved display curves inwards, and it, like, negates that curve. So when I look at the bottom of my display, I still see a curve now, but, like, it slightly bothers me less. As for 1440, I wasn't sure what to think about it, because, again, I've not used it. I didn't want to go 4K, because 4K you need scaling, and, well, scaling on Linux is... It's there. It is certainly there. Although, yeah, I didn't want to do it. I definitely not want to do it. If I wanted to do scaling, I'd pretty much have to go to KDE as, like, my permanent thing. Maybe you can do scaling in Neri. I actually don't know. I don't know if there's, like, a general setting for it. You could, like, configure per toolkit. Neri, display, scaling. Probably got to configure per toolkit. You can actually, like, hard scale a monitor. I've not messed around with that, so I don't know how well that works. Might try it out and see what happens. Either way, 1440 27 inches, I think, is the hard cap for 1440. I think it's the hard cap for no scaling. My eyes are fine. I probably need to get another like eye test done. Last time I got it, my eyes tested. They're like, your eyes are good. Fuck off. So I haven't done in a couple of years now. But if I was to go anymore, it would probably be unpleasant. I would have to scale. But here's the interesting thing. If you go up in monitor size, 1440 at 32 inches is roughly, not exactly the same, but roughly about 1080p DPI-wise. So if you have the space for 32 inches, and that's really big, like the first flat screen TV that I bought was a 32-inch TV, so the idea of that being a monitor is fucking mental to me. My first TV I had was way smaller, but it was a fucking CRT, whatever. But if you have the space for 32 inches and you don't want to scale and your eyes are bad and you don't want to scale 1440, that I would go with. If I didn't have the secondary monitor, or like I didn't have the speakers here, I probably could go with it. Actually, especially if I didn't have the speakers. But also, you still see the monitor in like the back of the shot around here. If I go 32 inches, and I've tried it with my house-based monitor, it goes up to about here. And that's a problem. I cannot have that much space. Like, yes, I could like raise up the camera and then like it's not an issue anymore. But I'm not gonna do that. Plus, 32 inches is fucking massive. If you've never used a display that big on your desk, it's fucking stupid big. I feel like you need a really deep desk for that to make sense. But at that point, how deep are you making it? And then are you sort of like negating the fact that you have a 32-inch display anyway if you put it so fucking far away? That's my thought, at least. I have wanted to try like an ultra-wide at some point. The problem with ultra-wides is... honestly, my main problem with an ultra-wide is video production. If I was to have a machine that was separate from video creation, I probably would try out an ultra-wide. But that was my main concern with 1440p. Whether it starts being annoying for videos, because UI elements are smaller and I gotta like zoom in more to do things, make it viewable and stuff like that. But I feel like I've mostly made it work. To be fair, I've not really tried any complex UI stuff since doing the movement, so who knows? Maybe it'll be a problem when I get to some complicated application. Maybe if I do like another video on Caden Live or something like that, that could be a concern, but who knows? Who knows? That is a problem that we deal with when we get to that problem. For now, I'm happy I have a monitor that works and it turns on properly. I did have to make sure I turned off... Why is this a fucking setting? Had a fucking auto brightness setting. I had to turn off the goddamn auto brightness setting because if the auto brightness was on, it would, auto brightness things. And I didn't notice it for a couple of days. I was like... I thought something was weird, but sometimes, you know, your eyes adjust weirdly to different lighting and stuff like that. I thought just, like, my eyes were adjusting weirdly. Then I actually tested it between a dark and a light scene. I was like, how the fuck do I fix that? The other thing I had to do is there's, like, a setting for the, what do you call it? Like, the not gray degree. Is it gray degree? There's, like, a setting for, like... I think it was the gray degree setting, and it's like fast, it's like slow, fast, faster, fastest, anything like that. And the top setting, if you go fastest, it causes the screen to very, very subtly flicker. And no. In one of the spare rooms here, we have an old plasma TV. I forgot how bad plasma flickers. Plasma is rough with flickering. I don't want to see anything changing. I want you to trick my brain into thinking that we are looking at a static image that is not moving or a animation on the screen. I do not want to know that I'm looking at a screen. That, besides just hurting my eyes, completely takes me out of it, and it's unpleasant. So I made sure to turn that setting down. I've not really played around with, like, monitor color settings, so I'm not really sure about that. I will say this display is vastly fucking brighter than my other displays, though. So that is something that I also noticed in the videos where there was just like this, especially if I had like a white background, there's just like this fucking glowing bullshit on my face now. Also, the first couple of days of looking at it did kind of hurt a little bit, especially when I was getting late at night. So, yeah. I think this is also an HDR display as well. I don't use HDR. I have an HDR display now, so I probably should try it, I guess. I don't know. I've never really been like a, kind of like ray tracing, I've never really been like a big HDR enjoyer, HDR carer. I've tried HDR displays, but, you know. Oh, one thing I will say about fucking JB Hi-Fi. Do you want to know how they show off their monitors? They don't show their TVs off like this. The way they show off their monitors is they have a looped video of their logo. So JB Hi-Fi, in case you don't know, you probably don't know if you're not Australian. I can't imagine JB Hi-Fi is very well known outside of Australia. Here we go, JB Hi-Fi. You know what? That's perfect. That right there is fucking perfect. JB Hi-Fi. So they basically just have like a logo and like a bit of an animation. It's like prices, JB Hi-Fi, wow, we do great things. And that's just on loop. Now the problem with that, firstly, is how the fuck do you compare monitors when the only thing you're seeing on the screen is black and yellow? You can't. It's a fucking mystery. You kind of just have to go off the spec sheet because you cannot visually tell the difference between them, which is why they don't do that with the TVs and instead either play stock footage or a movie or stuff like that. Second problem, they encoded the video a long fucking time ago and it's probably like a YouTube version of the video because it's very low res, it's real crunchy. So not only are you running a black and yellow video as your demo to see the colors of a display, also, it is so low res that every single display looks like it is at most 720p. Possibly the worst way to ever showcase any display hardware I have ever seen. At that point, just don't turn them on. Just leave them off because you're getting the same thing anyway. On the note of JB Hi-Fi, I did do the thing that I do every time I go there, which is try to scare the normies. I go onto the Macs and I open up a terminal and open up like a top or some other scary hacker looking thing. Always a fun thing to do. Anytime you go to a tech store that has computers there, always go and run Tree. Always go and run whatever Macs have pre-installed. If you somehow have a Linux system there, see what you can do with that and, scare the normies. Thankfully, the employees at JB Hi-Fi typically know what they're doing, but the customers the customers a bit less so. So you can definitely scare them a little bit. Oh god. We've been going over an hour. Fuck. I dropped the whole solo episodes for a while, and now I thought like I was gonna be a bit rusty. I've been doing the like streams obviously, but the streams I can get away with just like, talking bullshit and playing the video game. Here I actually got to talk for like over an hour. Somehow we're still doing it. Fuck, I still got it in me. Shit. I actually didn't think we'd be able to keep this up. So, speaking of keeping things up, that's not a great segue. I assume you guys saw the video on the GNOME Foundation. The GNOME Foundation video was very interesting. One interesting part is there were people that were angry about me making drama. Yes, I am the one that was making the drama, not the people that caused the drama. No, 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 no. No, the messenger, that's the one who started the drama. The one who literally read the words that were being said. That's the one who started the drama. True. Anyway, in case you didn't know, this is all allegedly. Basically what happened, I can find the post now. Basically, Robert McQueen is rerunning as a board candidate. And during his tenure, there has been a number of problems. Notably, with the Sovereign Tech Fund. So the Sovereign Tech Fund, that was the big investment GNOME had into the €1 million investment. Big deal, working on accessibility and various other things. And during that time, considering that we're now just asking for an apology and not lawsuits, during that time, there were people who were not getting paid for their contract work. Yep. Now, during that time, you might recall a Mr. Sonny Piers being removed from the board and being banned from the foundation. That is directly related to that situation. Basically, Sonny was pretty much acting like, I would say like a step away from going whistleblower, where he raised this to Robert McQueen. He was going to raise this to the rest of the board. And during that situation, again, allegedly, was removed from the board for intimidating the board, for basically being a meanie bum, effectively. And I'll see if I can find the other thing about this. So somebody from an alt, some probably GNOME committee person posting from an alt, basically said, yo, we can't just have people that are like threatening the board or saying things are pressing or urgent. This is the time we must be cool and composed, and collaboration is most important. Sonny, you acted emotionally and let yourself and the board and the GNOME Foundation, let down yourself, the board and the GNOME Foundation. As such, it was only right and proper for you to apologize to Rob and the board for your frankly disgraceful and unprofessional behavior. Now, the reason this is for an alt is because this would be just cause to remove this person from the foundation. That's why they posted from an alt, because they were also breaking the GNOME COC if they were a member of the foundation, likely a member of the COC committee. So Sonny's post goes into more than just that. Also going into the fact that 7 years ago, back in 2019, Rob was promising FlatHub payments. So if you don't remember, FlatHub was supposed to have paid applications and also like donations built into the platform. 7 years ago, this was mentioned. Was that my video on it? No, that's the LAS video. 7 years ago, we were talking like building an app store on FlatHub. It's posted in December, but it was from 7 years ago, 2019. Then in 2022 and 2024, and it hasn't happened. And I can assure you that it doesn't take 7 years to start up a online store. Now, it might take 2, might take 3. And if it's a situation where nobody wants to work on it, make a statement. Say, hey, we wanted to do this, but it ultimately wasn't going to happen because developers weren't interested. And if developers aren't interested, totally fair, totally reasonable. The issue is it's basically like continuing to promise it over and over again, and it just doesn't happen. Not brought up by Sonny, but I will also mention, relevant to this, FlatHub was supposed to be spun out into a separate organization. It was spun out as a subsidiary of the GNOME Foundation. Also that. Then there's the fact that Sonny had handed over the contract. Sonny and Tobias, who were both like running it together, basically handed things over to the GNOME Foundation to continue the STF project, and they completely dropped the ball because KDE is now being funded, and I have a feeling KDE is probably going to go for another funding round. But Sonny makes claims in here like Rob tried to sort of sabotage Sunny's ability to communicate with the board, to hold a meeting, to make it aware that things were happening. Sunny got permanently banned and then unbanned. And then when Sunny tried... Firstly, Sunny was running a mini Gua deck, which I think is very interesting. I have a feel... He's not confirmed this with me, and I've not seen it anywhere out there. I have a feeling Sunny was sort of in the motions of sort of splitting the GNOME community, right? If you set up a mini Gua deck, you set up your own Gua deck, that's going to eventually be like in direct competition with main Gua deck, right? And for the people that only go to one convention each year, there's going to be people that make that decision on one or the other. But when he was doing that, when he was trying to arrange meetings to explain things to the board, he was banned again. It was very messy. Oh, other very interesting thing there, and it feels like a giant conflict of interest, and I don't know whether GNOME Foundation allows this. You can be both on the board and the CRC committee at the same time. So if you're on the board and, here you go. After reviewing the case, the new board undid my ban, which prompted Federico, which is the member of the CRC committee, to propose a motion to ban me permanently again. That did not receive any support. But that was acting as a member of the board. He's also a member of the CRC committee, and that means they can just entirely circumvent the board and just hand out bans whenever they want. If someone is on the board, the CRC committee can't do that. But if it's just like a regular Foundation member, the CRC committee has complete free reign in who they ban for whatever reason. Which is, again, you shouldn't be able to be on the board and the CRC committee at the same time. In fact, the board should have complete oversight of the CRC committee. Now, following Sunny putting this out, well, actually, before Sunny put this out, Jordan Petrotus had already put out this, like, fairly angry comment about Rob. Notably, a very important part is, you know what? It's fucking crazy to me that GNOME people are actually admitting that this happened at some point, where the GNOME Foundation almost went bankrupt. I remember talking about this, and a bunch of people have talked about this, and I was told, no, trust the plan, trust the process. The Foundation has to spend all this money, and we're at a point now where GNOME people are being like, hey guys, what the hell happened? Why did we almost go bankrupt? Let alone hiring Holly, which felt like just a weird choice anyway. But following that post from Sunny, there was like there were replies here from Robert, and there were replies from another person who's already been in the thread. But there was also the comment here from Sebastian again, who I think the interesting thing is I think a lot of people are not yet fully willing to commit. So we've got a lot of people. This thread is really, we'll call it hot. A real hot thread. And that's without including the stuff that is being hidden, like the things I showed you before, which have not existed in the thread for about a day or two now, because they got directly hidden, because that CRC committee member got called out for posting on an alt. But we have a couple of people in here, like Jonas, like Sebastian, who are being like, and also like Sunny, who's not a member of the Foundation anymore, so his comment doesn't really have any direct weight, who are saying, I don't trust Robert to run on the board again. But you're also seeing other people who are directly supporting this. So you have, let's see, we had Foundation Director, we have GNOME team member Shri. Isn't Shri... Hold up. GNOME Wikipedia. Sorry, just need to double check something. GNOME shell... sorry, no, that's a different person. GNOME project, wait. No, okay, sorry, I thought it was a different person. Yeah, anyway. This person's been around the project a long time anyway. They're both supporting Robert running. You also have, where is he? You also, yeah, Cassidy James. Cassidy James, who's also supporting Rob running. I have a real sneaking suspicion that if they let Rob run, and especially if Rob actually gets elected once again, I think this might be the time that GNOME people finally stop coping. I like Robert, right? I like Robert, and if he wants to be involved in GNOME, that's fine. But there's a lot of people in the Foundation right now, a lot of notable people, who really don't want this to happen. And if this does happen, especially with Jordan Petrus, who's been like GNOME coper for the longest time now, being like openly anti-Foundation, and a bunch of other people being openly anti-Foundation, I legitimately think that if this does happen, if not this event, something around, like something shortly after this, I think is going to be the thing that finally causes a split. Maybe not a project split, but a Foundation split, where a secondary Foundation gets set up, some additional structure with like Stephen Diebold being in it, Sonny Piers, probably Jordan Petrus in this case. I don't know what Sebastian Wick has said. Probably just yelling about me talking about it. Who knows? But I know some other people like Hari Rana are very much maybe not against, but at least like openly questioning the Foundation ever since Sonny. And now knowing what happened, I don't know how long the cope can go on for, right? I coped for Kingdom Hearts 4 for a long time, and it finally happened. But I don't know how long the cope can really go on for before someone has to just say, enough is enough. Like, something needs to change. I will be keeping a close eye on this election and what goes on with it. If it doesn't happen this time, I do think that whatever the next major fuck-up is, it's like on that list, right? Like, each of these individual things are not necessarily terrible by themselves, right? Like, having 7 years for the store is not terrible. Theoretically, allegedly, not paying out invoices is not terrible by itself, if they get paid eventually, of course. Banning someone from the board is not terrible by itself. Mismanaging the funds to the point where the Foundation almost goes bankrupt is not terrible by itself. That's a pretty bad one, but it's not terrible by itself. But when you have all of these dot points, all of these points eventually start making a line. And that line goes in a direction, and that direction I don't think is a good thing. I know I've been like very critical of GNOME over the years, right? I'm well aware that I've been very critical of GNOME. At the same time, though, I am critical of GNOME because I want a stronger GNOME. I don't think the direction they've been going for the past probably decade now has been healthy for the project. And it shows in the install numbers, right? GNOME, no one gives a shit about GNOME on Arch anymore. And those are probably some of the best numbers we have. Fedora now has a KDE version. There is, like, even if you go to the GNOME subreddit, which is like home territory Copeland, even there, people are starting to question GNOME. Every other post is, oh, I don't hate GNOME that much, or GNOME is actually, oh, if you install extensions, GNOME is good. Or when Stephen Diebold put a post out called Stay and Fight, people were like, it's too little too late, I'm done with the Foundation, right? Like, this sentiment shift is happening, and I do not know how long they can keep that up, especially with stuff like this happening. Let alone the fact that it was kind of revealed by Sonny that Steven was also kicked out of the board as well, which I had my suspicions about, considering how short his tenure was, and the point where his tenure ended was basically when he started ruffling some feathers and trying to change things and trying to improve things. I think what GNOME needs is like new blood, is new leadership that is willing to bring life back into this project. I think some of the younger people in GNOME, like people like, wait, what is this? Gross conflicts of interest. What is this? Is this... What is this? Wait, this is a new thread. I'm not even aware of this one. Wait, this is like a day ago this was posted. This is a Guadec meeting. I want to ask some questions about conflicts of interest that I observed at the Foundation. I understand the tight-knit group, such as the GNOME Foundation appoints, can be made to look like nepotism at first. Holy shit. Since most Foundation members are not interested in being actively involved, however, it seems that over time, this situation has corroded some fundamental principles around conflict of interest. Specifically, you must not place people in positions where they can abuse their power and to favor people close... Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, okay, I think there is like a high chance... What does Steven say here? We got some mixed terminology. I have not read this thread. I'm like just seeing this now. It's a long thread as well. Impact beyond formal legal conflicts of interest. Government literature also discusses. We're defining terms here. What is that in context with? Was the relationship disclosed? What is that in reference to? Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go read this. I'm gonna read this in my own time. But it's, you know, the thing I said that was gonna happen, I think is starting to happen. I think I think that, like, there's starting to be, like, a cleanup of, or at least, if not a cleanup, at the very least, an acknowledgement of the rot. An acknowledgement of the rot in the Foundation that needs to be ironed out. Because most of the rest of what's going on here, like, most of the rest of what's going on, people are just chilling. COC reforms. Oh my god, another one? Tobias Bernard. At last year's AGM, someone raised a concern, I paraphrase as, what if what happened to Sunny happens again? At the time, we were reassured the COC reform was planned, and that Sunny's case was so special. How just a few weeks later, something similar did happen again. Another warlike person who was vocal about the same kinds of reforms as Sunny suddenly disappeared from the nation. Stephen, the big boss at the time. Well, I don't know what happened in detail. The situation was reminiscent. How do you want to reform the COC committee and procedures to regain the community's trust beyond technical changes, procedures, term limits, appeal processes, more oversight? It's my view that the situation with Stephen was very different to the one with Sunny. I want to know, what the fuck did Stephen do? What feathers, like, Sunny was removed because he was gonna, like, whistleblow about allegedly, about the Foundation not paying invoices. What the I want to know what Stephen did. Like, Stephen got kicked out way quicker. I want to know what the fuck Stephen did. But it was a temporary ban. Stephen is posting in the thread now, so the ban has been lifted. Regarding COC reform and conduct arrangements, more generally in GNOME, there's a plan to run a community consultation around conduct arrangements in GNOME, which we've done some initial work on. It's been enthusiastic. We're hoping to run the consultation prior to the election. Next window is likely in September. The aim would be to let everyone in the community give input, come up with recommendations, get more feedback, then implement the changes. I direct personal experience with exactly this problem in a trade union. I was later elected. I learned the actual reasons for the blah, blah, blah. That refusal... This is what opacity costs and is why I believe in radical transparency at default. I like this guy. I don't know what he stands for, but I like this guy just on this stance. Concretely, this means the community should always know how many procedures are currently before the COC committee and the status of each one. The transparency reports are already a very good start. Yeah, they are posting these like weekly or monthly reports now about what they're doing. It's not even like real transparency. It's just literally just effectively meeting minutes. That is how opaque the foundation was. Transparency upstream makes accountability downstream unavoidable. I also support term limits, fair enough, and stagger rotation for COC committee members. So term limits, and you can't go back into the COC committee immediately after you were last in it. I think that's also a reasonable thing. So if there is a bad person, you can get rid of them, and they can't go back in for X number of time, year, 2 years, whatever system they want to go with. I'm aware this creates real risk in an organization like ours, where many things are public and written individuals could easily be identified. Both the person raising a concern and the person being investigated. Sure, but I think at the end of the day, that should be public. Finally, I propose that each AGM, members elect an independent oversight committee drawn from Foundation members who are not board members. That I think is interesting. With the mandate to audit COC. I think this guy is fixing for a ban. Holy shit. Okay, I like this guy. Guillaume Bernard? Sorry. Give me let us how to say? I think it's Italian. French. Apologies.
Hi everyone and welcome back to How to French, the channel where we help you sound.
Oh, you can't hear my desktop audio. Oh, okay. Why can't you hear my desktop audio? That is a question. Right. Okay. Properties? Device? Default. If I play that again, can we hear it?
Native speaker, one word at a time. I'm Mark, and in this video, let's get started. Today, all school yet enduring name is Guillaume. Okay,
there we go. Guillaume? Is that right? I don't know. I'm not French. Anyway, not important. I got sidetracked. So, auditing from the Foundation members, that report will be submitted to and approved by the AGM. I recognize you would like to require amending the bylaws, as I see no mention of already. The measure of success is simple. The next time something difficult happens, Foundation explains what process was followed, and the community can verify it. Holy shit. Okay, I like this guy. On a committee about sexual abuse and harassment. I've attended in-person workshops and also conducted training for my colleagues. There are clearly defined guidelines internally public to be followed when a complaint is made. See, that's the thing about Sonny's case, right? They didn't state anything of what he did, so people were speculating, did he, like, assault someone? Did he sexually assault someone? He didn't. He was just a meanie bum, but, like, because there was no explanation, people were just, like, running wild. Concerns have been raised that some respondents were not adequately informed of the allegations against... Oh, yeah, Sonny also allegedly, didn't even know why he was removed, and therefore had no opportunity to present their position. If true, this should be addressed. While it's important to protect privacy and sensitive details, investigation concludes without consulting the individuals directly is incomplete. In addition, a key priority would be broadening and strengthening the pool of candidates eligible to serve on the conduct committee. The ED, president, vice president can serve as temporary members with appropriate training. This list can be expanded to include more community members. Again, I don't think sitting board members should have anything to do with the COC committee. I think that is a massive conflict of interest, but who knows if they're going to do that. Finally, for more serious cases, a member with relevant experience in government mediation. Sure, okay, I think this is mostly reasonable as well. So it sounds like a lot of that, like, ironing things out stuff is already starting to happen. So I think if Robert is allowed to run again, if he is especially voted in, I think this might actually really cause a shift. Like, shifts are already happening. I think if it goes even further, I think it'll be hard to not cause a shift to happen. Yeah, I wish the new blood some the best of luck. I do. I hope things go well for you guys, because I think you're in for a very, very rocky time if things are not properly handled here. But we shall certainly see. Shalt we? Shan't we? One of those. Probably neither of them. Either way, yeah. So, I'm gonna move on from that. You know what I have here? I've had this sitting on my desk for like 2 weeks now. I've not fucking gone and used it. I have a Pebble. I have one of the new Pebbles. I've just not done a video on it yet. I've not even just not done a video. I've not used it properly yet. So in case you don't know, I do actually have a smartwatch. My daily driver is the... Have my address on there or anything? No, it's just time. My main daily driver is the very long since discontinued Vivo Active HR. This is a Garmin watch. I don't even know when they discontinued it. Vivo Active HR. It's got to like fucking 7 years ago. Discontinued. Originally released in 2016. When did they discontinue it? I want to say it was like 2022, 2023, something like that. When was the Vivo Active HR discontinued? Oh no. It came out in 2016. They discontinued it in 2017. I've had this watch for basically 10 years now. This is like an early smartwatch. Why do I still have it? It still works. This thing, I wear it every single day. It has like a 2-week battery life. After all this time, I have taken this into the sauna. It has like been through shitloads of heat and shitloads of like sweat and still works perfectly fine. Yeah, it's a little bit laggy. Yeah, it's not the fastest thing out there. But as a watch and as a step tracker, I have not wanted to replace this. However, I did have a dream as a kid about the Pebble. I saw the Pebble come along and I really wanted a Pebble. So when I saw Repebble, I think they're actually just called Pebble now. I think they bought the Pebble name. Yeah, they still got the domain Repebble, but they actually bought the name Pebble. When I saw that the Pebble was coming back, I really wanted it. I really had to get it. And I've used it a little bit. I've got like I wonder if I can show you. How do I turn it on? That one? What's the button? Or is it that one? Fuck, I don't remember the button to turn it on. That was that one. Okay. I've got a little watch on here. A little watch face on here. You're not gonna be able to see it because it's small. Maybe you can see it. Can we focus on it? We can't focus on it though, can we? It's a little Pokemon watch face where you take a number of steps and the egg hatches and then the Pokemon evolves when you take more steps and it evolves into its final form. If you like doing 10,000 steps a day kind of deal and you want a excuse to walk around and something neat to look at, it's a cool little watch face. But I need to mess around with it more. I really can't even give my like full feedback on the watch as it currently stands because I just don't. I've just not used enough. I love the fucking this bullshit Vivo Active HR thing so goddamn much that it's so hard to put it down. It's so convenient. It's the fucking bullshit sensor thing is giant and digs into my wrist. But it's just I've had it for so long that changing to anything else, it just feels like I'm leaving the past behind, right? It feels like I'm losing something and I don't know. Obviously, I'm being fucking facetious here, but every time I like get up in the morning, I reach for this one just because I've always used it. I need to like actually properly use this for like a week or so and like get my real thoughts on it. Granted, I use a smartwatch very little anyway. It's basically just a step tracker, and that's mostly it. So, also considering like playing around with like Pebble watch face and app programming, which seems like kind of fun as well. So eventually I'll get around to that probably, or it'll be like my Chromebook where I still have the little Chromebook doohickey here for hacking Chromebooks sitting on my desk, and I still have Chromebooks somewhere in that drawer. I think it's in that drawer that I've not messed around with. So, you know, I spent it like, you know, I bought some Chromebooks a few years back and just never got around to messing with them. That happens sometimes, right? Pretty much any YouTuber is going to have like a bunch of fucking random little projects they just never get around to. I am such a YouTuber. Yeah. It's a problem. It really is a problem, but I'll get to it at some point. Probably. Speaking of getting to it at some point, video games. We recently had the whole Summer Games Fest, which is like the whole Summer Games Fest week, which is the replacement for E3 of the past. Jeff didn't lie. I was so disappointed in State of Play that I thought Jeff was actually bullshitting. Because Jeff was like, this is the biggest Summer Games Fest ever. Oh my god, guys, there's so many amazing games here. Jeff said that last year and we got fucking High Guard. And other times we got Concord. So I don't trust Mr. Jeff Keighley anymore. But this year, he rebuilt the trust. Because while State of Play itself was garbage, Summer Games Fest, we had some big titles like FF7 Part 3. And even if you don't like the remake stuff, it's still Part 3, so it's finally done now. What other Games Fest games were there? Because most of my list right now, most of my head is stuck with fucking Nintendo Direct. Oh, right, there was, Stellar Blade Blood Rain. Yes, that one. Summer Games Fest 2026 games list. Polygon. No. Guys, I want Summer Games Fest games list. Specifically, oh my god, games list. There's a fucking good article I saw the other day. Where'd it go? Oh, right, the Alien Isolation 2, which was fucking sick. Okay, here we go. Eurogamer. Oh my god, why are you so fucking useless? Jesus. Right, yeah, they started the event with Resident Evil Code Veronica. Right. It was just like, hey guys, here's a Resident Evil game. Enjoy! What? Huh? Jeff, what are we doing here? Then you had fucking Cuphead 2, you had Guild Wars 3, Wolf Among Us 2, I don't really care about that, but even so. Stellar Blade Blood Rain already mentioned. I think it is kind of crazy how Sony has lost basically all of the interest from, like, basically all of the interest from the Japanese developers, right? Like, State of Play, their, like, big thing was God of War Le Fay. And sure, whatever. If you like God of War, hey, you got God of War. They also had fucking RuneScape Dragon Wilds, the, like, survival RuneScape game for anyone who... I like RuneScape. I don't give a shit about Dragon Wilds. No one gives a shit about Dragon Wilds. But then, like, all of the, like, big games, all, like, the big JRPGs and just big games in general were at Summer Games Fest. Then we had fucking Persona and Persona. We had Persona 4 Revival and Persona 6... both at Xbox. And I know that, like, Xbox did, like, Persona 3, right? Like, that they had the Persona 3 reveal. That makes sense, right? But it is fucking crazy that Xbox is getting massive JRPG announcements before Sony. Then, holy fuck, you had Nintendo, man. Like, oh, right. You also had Stranger Than Heaven at Summer Games Fest as well, which is the Yakuza prequel. Which I'm... Oh, we already had some, Stranger Than Heaven stuff earlier, but we got the announcement of, Tupac being in the game, which, sure, okay, Tupac. We have Snoop Dogg already? Fuck it. Might as well have Tupac. Why the hell not? Just, who cares at this point? You might as fucking well. But then, fucking Nintendo, you had Kingdom Hearts 4. Why at Nintendo Direct was Kingdom Hearts 4? We'd seen nothing on KH4 for... When was the... Kingdom Hearts 4 original... When was the original trailer, the one with Strelitzia? 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we had the original trailer. And then nothing. We had, I think there was, screenshots. And then there was a Nomura KH4 art. There was a bit of KH4 art of young Xehanort. This fella here. Young Xehanort, which is different from Terranaut, even though they look very similar. Yeah. I wasn't expecting anything, right? But then we actually got something. Then you also had the Kingdom Hearts collection. Then there was another one there. I think was there another JRPG there? Oh, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. No, sorry, Resonant. The reimagining of Brave Exvius. Then in JP Nintendo Direct, they had not a ton, but they had some more gameplay of Trails in the Sky the Second, and also Atelier Courier, the sequel of Atelier Yumiya, the next game in the Atelier franchise. If you've never played Atelier, don't, because it's too much. What number are we at now? What number are we at for the Atelier series? So Yumiya is Atelier 26. So yeah, I guess Courier will be 27, and that's the main series. That's not including side series stuff, which is not as important. But they're okay. To be fair with Atelier, it's not 26 games in a continuous franchise. It's 26 games in 3 or 4 game arcs, and they're entirely unrelated. It's different worlds, and basically, sometimes there are sometimes really popular characters have a cameo, but usually it's entirely separate things. So you can jump in. Usually you can jump in really any game if you want to. Just find one of the characters you think looks cute and play that one. But recommended, if you're going to play one of them, jump in at the start of an arc, and then you'll be good to go. I jumped in with... What did I jump in with? Theris. Yeah, I jumped in with Theris. Which I think the start of that series was Sophie 1. Yeah. A lot of people jumped in with Ryza recently, though. Or if you want to go back, you can play Esker and Logi, things like that, back on the PS3. Or pretty much most of the games at this point are on Steam. If they're not, you can acquire them through other means. Why I was talking about Atelier? I don't know. Oh, right. Nintendo. Nintendo basically is now... Nintendo has basically taken back over the title they had during the NES and the SNES period, right? Back on the NES, back on the SNES, that's when the JRPGs were... that's where they were, because it was... At that point, it was the Japanese console. You didn't have Sony during the NES, so if you're a Japanese company, you were releasing on the NES and then on the SNES. But when the PlayStation came along, and Final Fantasy VII, right? Final Fantasy VII, that was a PlayStation 1 game. then 8 and 9, they were PlayStation 1 games. Then Final Fantasy X was on the PS2. And then Final Fantasy 13, that was on the Xbox 360 as well, on like 10 DVDs, but it was also on, primarily, initially, the PS3. And for a long time, Final Fantasy had been associated with PlayStation and Sony. And I think what's changed is Sony's fucking around with... Oh, right. Fucking Nintendo also had Duskbloods, the new From Software game, which I don't care about because it's focused on like multiplayer co-op stuff. I don't care about that in From Software games. So for me, it's I haven't played Night Rain either. So it's just not my jam. Maybe I'll play it at some point. Who knows? Anyway, I think what's happened with Sony is Sony has been pushing really hard for either exclusives or timed exclusives, and this is really killing any hype for a lot of these games. Some of them come out of the other side really well, again, like Stellar Blade, but these are the exception, not the norm. Usually what happens is the game releases on PlayStation, a year and a half later, it comes out on PC, then anyone who was gonna play it probably already played it on PC and on PS5, and if they didn't, they probably just lost interest and played other games. Like FF16, right? It did relatively well on PS5. It came to PC and kind of did middling sales because anyone who, like, a lot of people just moved on, right? And a lot of people they knew everything that happened in the game, and that's the other thing, right? If you gotta wait a year and a half, you know the spoilers, you know the story in most cases, unless you're being like really careful, and you might just realize you don't actually vibe with the game, whereas you might have bought the game and maybe you would have enjoyed it. Maybe you would have enjoyed the story, but you don't enjoy it without the context of the build up to get there. So knowing how a plot progresses, maybe that takes away a lot of it. And a lot of these companies, I think, are realizing like this is a problem and we can't do this. So Kingdom Hearts 4, it's releasing simultaneously multi-platform on everything, including PlayStation. So it's going to be on the Switch too. It's going to be on the Xbox. Is it going to be on the Xbox? I think it's going to be on the Xbox. It's going to be on PC. It's going to be on... Well, I think that's all of it, actually. I think it's going to be on Xbox. But it's going to be across all the things. I think this is a really... like, a much healthier state for these games to be in. Release on PC, release on PlayStation, release on Xbox. If you release on everything, if you have the money to do the porting, get it on everything, and have people enjoying the game. Don't let... Sony was really good at, like, offering a big bag to make this happen. I think a lot of these big studios are starting to realize, like, the bag wasn't worth it. The bag is not as big as what would have happened if they just released the game and had people buy it like they normally would. So, also, I think Sony is just really... I think Sony just doesn't really care about the Japanese market anymore, which is fucking strange to say, because again, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, these were the JRPG machines. This was the home of, for a long time, this was the home of Final Fantasy, this was the home of Dragon Quest, after it moved, again, from the Nintendo stuff. Again, I think Sony's dropped the ball for a long time. And hey, I'm glad Nintendo's there to pick it up. Especially, I'm glad that Nintendo, I'm glad Nintendo has really strong first-party games, so they don't need to care about locking down their third-party developers. Did I say Sony or Nintendo? Nintendo has really strong first-party games, and they don't need to lock down their third-party developers. Sony... What does Sony have, right? Sony has God of War. Cool. Okay. They've got Horizon, whatever the fuck it's called, which is... I still feel like the Horizon series is a psyop. I've never met a single person that's ever played Horizon, but sure, they have Horizon. They have Gran Turismo. What? Sony first-party games. What do they have? Obviously, you have, like, one-off titles like, Astrobot. Oh, right, they had, Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah. 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 Last of Us, which is done now. Uncharted, which is dead. Like, they don't really... they don't really have anything that's like super. They have the new Marvel game, I guess, which isn't out. Maybe it's good. I guess they still have Kojima. I guess. Because like. Because Death Stranding 2 on the beach had like a delay before released on PC. I wonder, you know what? I wonder if Kojima is going to stick with Sony. Because if they lose Kojima, like they don't have, I don't think they have any Japanese devs left who are like Sony first. Like I can't think of any at least. So like Sony, man, Sony. It's sad because I had a PS2. I love the PS2. But I think you can't like live in the past and like, I loved this console 3 generations ago. Therefore, I'm going to keep supporting like what the console is doing now, what the company is doing now. It is what it is. It is what it is. Anyway, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. I actually wasn't planning to go 2 hours today. I do have still a bit of a cold, and my voice is, this is going to be a problem for tomorrow, because I got a stream tomorrow. I might be doing more of these solo episodes coming up. We'll see how they go. I kind of want to do them in this structure where I'm sort of like doing the, like, news things that I think are interesting, and like general topics that I think are interesting that I don't think really fit into the main channel. So if this is something you vibe with, if this is something you enjoy, I guess stick around. We're gonna do some guest ones as well, don't get me wrong. But I don't know. I might keep doing this for a bit and see how it goes, maybe a couple of months, and then maybe bring guests more back on. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. I kind of just wing the podcast. The podcast is like, I have like topics written down, and that's pretty much as far as we go with the planning. So, hey. Anyway. On the gaming channel, I am playing through Like a Dragon right now and Shenmue 3, so pop around for that if that is your vibe. On the main channel, there will be videos of Linux variety. Yeah. If you're watching the video version of this, you'll find the audio podcast on every podcast platform you can think of. Search Tech Over Tea. And if you want to find the video version, it is on YouTube at Tech Over Tea. So I'm going to head out. I did slightly modify the overlay, in case you didn't realize, just so we have the... It's been so long, some of you don't even fucking realize what the overlay even looked like. I don't even know why I'm bothering. I now don't have, like, gaps around it. Also removed the overlay on this. I just felt like the overlay didn't really make any sense here any longer. Anyway, yeah. So I'm going to head out. I'm going to go make some dinner, probably edit some stuff, and, yeah. So I'll go back. I will see you guys next time, and hopefully my voice is still fine by tomorrow. Yeah. So I am out.